Right now, as you listen to my golden voice trickle down your ears, you are watching YouTube. And chances are, if you're watching me, you probably dig animation. Unless you fucking hate animation and just want me to change your mind or something. In which case, I'm pretty sure I can't do that. Yet. The amount of time I've spent watching cartoons or anime in my youth, and even to this day, on YouTube is immeasurable. As time goes on, however, watching dubiously legal uploads of Beast Wars in 360p becomes harder and harder to actually do, as the various media titans chomp down on the copyright bug like a gigantic narc bird of prey. The era of watching Azumanga Daioh in 3 parts is over, replaced with the era of watching episode 1 of Amphibia on Disney's own channel and buying the rest to somewhere else, or waiting for it to come to Disney Plus because Disney won't simulcast it. Come on, Disney! I need to ribbit, jump on in it. But internetios like myself and you self, dear viewers, are privy to another form of online cartoon watching, independent animation. It's been there for nearly as long as videos on the internet, period. Whether it be hilarious video game parodies, or something racist, or just porn, whatever you want was there to satisfy the primal urge for cartoons. My first brush with independent animation on the internet, though, was not Egoraptor or Oni or anyone or anything from Newgrounds. It wasn't Funny Junk. It wasn't E-Bomb's World. It was certainly not fucking Icebox. No, the first independent cartoon I ever saw on the internet was...
Come on, Photodots!
And as I basked in the bizarre spectacle before my 8-year-old eyes, I asked my older cousins, some of which were showing me this for some reason, "Hey, what the hell is this?" And they told me about HomestarRunner.net. It's .com. Homestar Runner is a vast behemoth of an internet entity that, to those who did watch it, there was nothing better and nothing quite like it, then and really now. Even in the baby times of the internet as we know it, Homestar Runner was a really singular beast. It wasn't based on a media property or a parody of anything, kind of. It wasn't overly violent. There was no funny swearing or blatant racism, sex, or general vulgarity. Yet it wasn't really for kids either. It was fucking weird for sure, as a lot of early internet humor traded on WTF factor, but in a kind of controlled madness sort of way. Like, it all made internal sense and was general beyond the surface pretty mundane. The only thing transgressive about it was that it wasn't trying to shock or offend or pander to kids. It was in this weird middle ground and a perfect breeding ground for middleware dorks like me. It actually began as a joke, a fake children's book made during the 1996 Olympics in order to mock incredibly bad and no-effort content made for kids at the time, as well as keeping in theme with the Olympics, made by Mad Genius number 1, Mike Chapman. After learning the basics of Flash animation and even making a few animations in Mario Paint of all things, he and his brother Matt got right to work making basic shorts based on this incredibly stupid book called Homestar Runner Enters the Strongest Man in the World contest. And with Matt as a voice actor and co-writer, the rest is history. Okay, so what the hell is it actually about? Homestar Runner involves the comic strip-esque adventures of a guy called Homestar Runner, who the site is named after, and also even the cartoons in the book are named after him. Homestar has a Goku get-em attitude, that is to say that he's excitable, a bit of a man-child, and incredibly stupid. And 9 times out of 10, the problem du jour is either caused by him or made up entirely by him. This only holds together as a logical sequence of events because all of his friends are also goddamn weirdos, but in entirely different ways. Well, besides Pom Pom, of course. Look at this sex machine. Everybody loves Homestar. He's a terrific athlete. Everybody except Strong Bad, closest thing to an antagonist in frankly the secret actual main character of the site. While Homestar is a hapless moronic stooge that is nice but also dumb as a sack of heavy stones, Strongbad is, well, as ridiculous as it sounds, Strongbad and his surrounding world and ecosystem is one of the most bizarrely in-depth and fleshed out worlds in any cartoon I've ever seen, period. Move the fuck over, Steven Universe, cause Strongbad is here to take your crown. You know what, actually? Strongbad was here first, so miss me with your in-depth lore, Seaman Pooniverse. Hi Kevin, I know you're watching this. Over the course of all the tunes, shorts, holiday specials, and yes, especially the 200 plus emails, we learn a hilariously intimate amount of knowledge and backstory and personal details about Strongbad. It's kind of like how we learn a new tragic backstory element of Doofenshmirtz every episode of Phineas and Ferb, but instead of being a mad scientist, Strongbad is just a burnout 20-something-year-old guy living with his brothers and playing video games and eating junk food and answering pedantic emails all day. The brothers in question being Strongbad, a very large and simple-minded fellow that yells every sentence, and Strongset, who isn't so much a goth or emo as he is a just kind of morose and pretentious nerd. He's like the guy you know that's always has to be one-upping himself and diving into his own ass with increasingly obscure hobbies.
Yay! American Football Championship. Yay!
There's also the Cheat, who is the Cheat. So I've talked a bit about the premise, the main characters, even the creation of the series, but what about the nitty-gritty? What makes it so special beyond what I've already mentioned? What makes it so funny and enduring, and how is it something special to me, and in what way? Well, I certainly hope you had all of those questions and in that order, because it's time to answer them all now, baby! One of the key things that makes Homestar Runner so endearing is the sense of familiarity. And I don't mean just all the pop culture references.
That's why you're my D-O-G-E.
Your Doge? What are you talking about?
Rebecca Sugar, famous for some show that you might have heard about, brought up the idea of thingness in cartoons. That is, say if an interesting character or location or event is brought up naturally, even if you have no real information on it beyond a surface level understanding, it will feel like a thing in the world. Homestar Runner has so much thingness in every part of the world, it's literally bursting at the seams with things. Homestar Runner is both nigh impenetrable to newcomers and totally completely understandable at the same time. Since the very beginning of the series, one-off gags, random new characters, and inside jokes have been introduced apropos of nothing and then folded into the bread loaf that is the show's reality. I know I didn't watch the series in order or anything crazy like that, but I was pretty easily able to comprehend what was going on. The first full tune I watched on the site on my own was Strongbad is in Jail, and even a big dummy 8-year-old like me was quickly able to pick up what it was putting down. That character is like this character is like that. This is what any good episodic cartoon does. But the key difference is that even as early as Strongbad is in Jail, there's a ton of reliance on knowing this world and characters to fully comprehend all the jokes.
Dear prisoner number 5408, aka Strongbad, aka Professor Tor Cool Guy.
And to return to my original point, I think kids are smart enough to know that things are funny or are references to something else, even if they don't know exactly why or to what. I know we've all probably caught the middle season of an anime or something like that on TV, and still been able to piece things together from there. There is a magnetic quality to an unsolved puzzle, regardless of how simple it is. It's like the specific version of FOMO that begins when you see something out of context and then try to find the context at all costs. People like myself that marathon cartoons and make videos about that are pretty obsessive, so this phenomenon is all too familiar to us. So that hooks you, but there is more to a cartoon than a game of psychology. A show can string you along with mystery after mystery to be discovered, the mysteries in this case being jokes rather than like, I don't know, Sandwich Flashback and OKKO. I haven't referenced that in a while. But even if it strings you along, it needs to be actually engaging to keep your interest. Jokes are a great way to keep engagement with something as massive as Homestar Runner, and the comedy itself is far from a bunch of arcane nonsense locked behind key doors to be discovered later. Jesus, am I describing a Flash cartoon or a Metroidvania?
This one time I was hanging out with this kid, and he got a squint emoji, and I was like, hey, that's Homestar Runner.
The show is just flat out funny in such a casual way, and it only gets funnier as it goes. It helps that every character is defined by a very simple set of traits and jokes, and those stay entirely consistent throughout the run of the series. It's very much character-driven comedy at its core, which is a good thing, as it's usually very reliant on gags and references a lot of the time, so the characters really ground it. I think Homestar Runner has one of the best ensemble casts ever, because not a single one isn't funny. In fact, if a tune is centered on a side character and not Homestar or Strong Bad, then I'm immediately more excited about it. Like, yes, a cartoon about Sonor Card Gauge? I'm fucking there. Picking a favorite set of cartoons is really hard, not just because there's so many, but there's a ton of different sub-series too. Barring emails, which I will get to in a second, I'm a huge fan of the many different Christmas specials they have. Excuse me, the Decemberween specials that they've made. Yeah, the Halloween ones are great for pop culture references and the costumes and everything, and goddamn, I love those fan costume videos, but the Decemberween ones always fill me with childlike glee. Not just because of the holiday spirit or any such nonsense, but because it's usually the series at its most domestic comedy.
I'm Choco, everyone. Hope it's not too late. Choco, late.
There's just something nice about seeing these characters engage in something relatively down-to-earth and have, like, normal human problems. Probably my favorite is the Decemberween mackerel, because it's all about Sonor Card Gauge, the weird elderly version of Strong Bad that speaks purely in malapropism, and it's about him slowly dying and everyone having to put up with him out of sympathy and because it's the spirit of the holiday and everything like that. It's like when you have to take care of a drunk or like drug-addicted relative for a couple months. My favorite set of cartoons for very personal reasons is, of course, the Cheat Commandos. I love crappy 80s toy commercials, and I love things like Dr. Smooth's Transformers and G.I. Joe parody dubs, and this is like all that mixed together with the Homestar Runner School of Writing. It's such a perfect satire of those old Reagan-era cartoons, and it's a crime that there's so little episodes of these. Though that makes it much easier to watch all of it, so I recommend doing that first if you haven't. But of course, the piece de la best one is the legendary Strong Bad emails, or SPEmails if you want to be spicy about it. If you want a perfect macro-microcosm of everything I've been talking about in this video thematically, look no further than SPEmail. A deceptively simple premise, Strong Bad, former bully antagonist man and future real main character of the show, reads viewer-submitted email and mocks or answers it in comedic ways. From this premise, Homestar Runner as we know it now, and, no hyperbole, most of the modern internet's sense of humor sprouted from these 2 to 3 minute slices of genius. Basically, Strong Bad Email and Aqua Teen Hunger Force are the 2 pieces of DNA of modern internet humor.
No one can defeat the quad laser.
It is over now.
The bullet is enormous. There is no escaping.
Jumping is useless.
Originally, these email shorts acted as a cute framing device for answering basic emails, a perspective shift from Homestar to Strong Bad, and easy, low-effort content made at a time long before social media. This quickly and powerfully became not the case. SPEmails began to be the main draw to many people, as their rapid production meant that they easily outpaced the regular cartoons, shorts, holiday tunes, and anything else that they made. Many of the subseries of tunes, and even some important long-standing characters, spawned from one-off gags in the SPEmails. Things like Homstar, Teen Girl Squad, Strong Badia in general, freaking Trogdor. All of these are from SPEmails. They somehow are this perfect balance of snackable content, quotation marks, produced through simple means, and also this grandiose game of ultimate world building. Pretty much every single joke ever spoken in a Spemail is repeated or subverted or spun off into its own thing as time goes on. I meant it when I said that over the course of the 206 Spemails, we learn literally every single thing possible about Strong Bad and his family that one could reasonably expect to learn from a long-running show. The music they listen to, their dining habits, their jobs, the video games they play, several generations of computer upgrades, the schools they went to, the fake country they live in. It really feels like growing up with and getting to know this weirdo family. It's awesome. It's genuinely comforting and heartwarming in a weird, twisted way, and I think that's the key to it in most modern cartoon success, actually. I truly think that when it comes to long-running serialized stories, what people want is not specifically to get all these mysteries and lore and twists and all that. No. What people want, put simply, is to be rewarded for the time that they spent watching something. Compared to something like Avatar, no, of course Homestar Runner is not serialized in that sense. Again, you can watch pretty much any episode and be fine, but it rewards time spent magnificently. This is the secret sauce that makes passionate fandom join around cartoons. Look no further than the Homestar Runner Wiki, the most ridiculously in-depth wiki this side of the Transformers Wiki. It's why even though something like previous episode topic, Craig of the Creek, is so engaging despite being very low stakes in a literal sense. It's a show all about building a consistent world and constantly throwing new elements into the mix to make sure you're paying attention, bringing up old things again to be like, hey, look, this thing is still relevant. The reason a cartoon like G.I. Joe is probably really boring to modern audiences is because it's so inconsistently written that there's no telling whether something is permanent or not. In Homestar Runner, a character invented for a 5-second gag about Homestar's name being spelled wrong becomes a full fucking character that exists and has a life and friends from that point onward. Watching a whole show is a huge time commitment, and people prefer to have tangible results for the time spent. So if you spend an afternoon watching a ton of Spemails, you will be rewarded in kind with intimate knowledge of everything Strong Bad. It's not just about the comfort with the Spemails, though. As with any good series with an incredibly strict format, the best moments come from playing with or shattering that format. Some of the best and most memorable episodes of Spemail revolve around something happening to one of Strong Bad's many computers mid-email, and him being temporarily predisposed from actually answering emails, normally for a few episodes. One of the most brilliant pieces of meta-fiction probably on the existence of the internet is the Spemail virus, in which Strong Bad's second computer, the Compy, gets several 100,000 viruses. Reality itself starts to break down when the virus spreads to the entire website of HomestarRunner.com. It's just pure magic, man. You have to go out and watch this now, because Flash is dead, and you won't be able to watch it by the end of the year.
Stop! That's not supposed to be possible!
Making,
Out,
making,
wait,
out,
life,
making,
wait,
out,
wait,
2020 claims another life. All of this madman-level world-building culminated into what I think is the ultimate expression of this series and everything it has tried to do. Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. It's a 5-part telltale adventure game set in the world of Homestar Runner and thoroughly runs the gamut of every joke that was set up through the history of the website and takes the narrative storytelling of the whole series and pushes it to the fucking limit. It's bar none one of my favorite pieces of media to ever exist, and just the perfect send-off to this brilliant web series. As after it was completed, Homestar Runner just kinda stopped. They would occasionally upload a few tunes per year, but not nearly at the rate that they used to. I remember in the heyday, reloading the website constantly on the off chance that a new cartoon was up, and usually once a week there was something new. Now it's like a big event each and every time something actually happens.
Let's not make a big deal out of this. It's just a little Strong Bad email. Ring.
But why? Life, man. Life just happens. Matt and Mike had their families to take care of. They had actual professional gigs to be a part of, like Aquabats or even Gravity Falls. They even eventually made their own Disney show in a similar style to Homestar with 2 more eggs.
Double and double and doobly-doo.
Homestar Runner is still a thing, technically. I mean, they have a YouTube and Twitter and just released the goddamn amazing Trogdor board game. But the era of it being your one-stop shop for internet relevance is gone, sadly. That's okay though, as its tendrils of influence stretch far and wide. Most people making shows now are internet-savvy millennials, and I guarantee all of them of a certain age swear by Homestar Runner. There's a ton of Homestar Runner DNA in Gravity Falls, Amphibia, Big City Greens, even the aforementioned Craig of the Creek, or OKKO. Even things like AJ's Infinite Summer feels like a spiritual baby of Homestar, especially that unproduced second episode, which you can watch on Toby Jones' channel right now.
Ugh, cold orange juice? Oh, sorry. Ah, much better.
I love Homestar, probably more than most, and its brand of humor and world and characters and jokes are forever seared into my skull. It may be pretty much a closed book, but that weirdo series will always be there for me, and when I need it, it will always be home. That's what we want when you watch a cartoon, after all. Not just epic lore or action, or even the rewarded persistence I talked about earlier. You want a home away from home. And I can't think of a better place than the place where the tropical breezes blow. The coolest place I know. Strong Badia, the Free.
Breezes blow. Come to the coolest place I know. The people are so great, but really there's only me. And that means I'm so great. And also there's the cheat. Oh, there's the cheat in the place where the tropical breezes blow.